Good morning and welcome. It is January 18th, Wednesday, January 18th, about almost 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time over here in the U.S. We're just going to do a little update on the earthquake that happened this morning in Italy. It was a 5.7, about 4:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time this morning, early in the morning. I have family that lives over here, so I was notified immediately whenever this occurred as I was sleeping. I am going to go back and play a clip from my January 12th and a short little clip from my January 8th earthquake warnings, just so we can recap the discussion about Italy real quick. So I'm just going to play this little clip and another little clip, and then we'll come back to the map and take a look at the earthquakes. Just give that a second to load.
That pressure will distribute itself out across these plate boundaries, and it will even go up in here into China and Nepal, Burma, and India. It'll work its way over here into Afghanistan and Pakistan, Iran, and it'll wind its way up into Turkey and Greece, and ultimately over here to Italy.
Alright, and then I'm going to play another one from the 12th. Just a short little piece right here, so pay attention.
Your old earthquakes right there. You guys should go over here to the EMSC, check it out. I mean, this stuff is really user-friendly. It's like I said, I'm not educated. I didn't do good in school. Especially science. I think I did 9th grade science 3 times before I graduated. They bribed me with the diploma to get me out of the school.
True story.
Look at all of this. All this pressure is transferred from over here and come up in here. And, you know, that's in Greece right here. That's a pretty significant earthquake. A 4.6 is enough to cause damage. And it's moved up in here into central Italy. There's been a lot of activity over here that's very concerning. Don't have time to get into it right now. That pressure it moves in a fixed trajectory.
Alright, so we're going to talk about today what I meant by that was very concerning. And we're going to come back over here again. Here's our little earthquakes that happened this morning over here in Italy, and we're going to take a look over here on the European site. I'm going to zoom down in on that. What I had mentioned was concerning me that I didn't have time to go into in the previous forecast was a progression of seismic pressure moving down here in a southward direction. And the reason why it was concerning, and I'm still monitoring that, and now that we've had this larger earthquake just up here in Italy, I'm going to have to really take a good close look at everything that happens over the next week, because I do have a concern that that seismic pressure comes in from over here and then transfers down south, a long progression, southward progression. And as I zoom in, it should become quite apparent why I'm concerned about that. If any of you know your history, you're going to recognize this right here, Mount Vesuvius. And Mount Vesuvius erupted a long time ago. Many of you remember the story of Pompeii. The city of Pompeii was covered. People were encased in ash. And so that's my concern. My concern is that there is a southward progression as I've been monitoring this. I have family that lives all here in Campobasso. My family, when they came over from Italy with my great-grandmother and my great-grandfather, they lived in this region right in here. So I do have family all in here in Rome and all the surrounding areas. And I talk to them quite frequently. A lot of them don't speak English, but I try to go to Google Translate and translate to them, and have been sending them messages. I did take a screenshot of one of the messages I had sent to a friend of mine in Italy, a family member, and I had gave them an example of how that pressure transfers and why they should be concerned, because the pressure was transferring from Japan across over here. This was several days ago, actually over a week ago that I had sent this. These were the series of earthquakes, and I was trying to give them an example that they could visually see, if they couldn't understand all of the English text that I sent them, that they were in line for an earthquake. And so here we are on January 18th, and boom, big earthquake in Italy. So there's my concern with that. I think I have a couple other maps that I had sent. We'll take a look at those real quick. Of course, this morning I got sent this message. Every now and then, the earthquake makes us dance, and you were right, Mark Michi, which I appreciate that. They're still sending me messages in Italian, and I have to go back and Google Translate them so I know what they're saying. But here's a map that I had sent a few days ago, talking about that southward progression coming from up in here, that I was concerned that it was going down in here into the southern portions where Vesuvius is. I didn't mention Vesuvius because I didn't want to scare them, but there's my issue. So we're going to come back over here. These are the current, this is the last 24 hours worth of earthquakes. In my previous forecasts on the 8th and the 12th, I was talking about a large earthquake in this area right here. And what I did not have time to go into, I will go into now. And there is one set of circumstances where these large deep earthquakes do not produce a very large shallow earthquake, and that is volcanic in nature. This area that outlines the perimeter of the Pacific Plate along South America, the west coast, up into Alaska, Kamchatka, Russia, and down in here is what we call the Ring of Fire. Incidentally, these are all earthquakes, but all of the volcanoes in this region, since those large deep earthquakes over here in the Philippines and Fiji, even down here in New Zealand and some places in Australia, the Philippines and the Indonesian islands, all of these volcanoes have become active and are erupting. Up here in Alaska and the Aleutian Island chain, they're spewing ash. Down here in South America as well, they're spewing ash 20 to 30,000 feet into the atmosphere. So these are major eruptions happening all along the Ring of Fire, and they act as a pressure relief valve. And so that may explain why we did not see a large 7 to 8 earthquake in this region. It could still happen, but it's long since past the time when it should have. The large 7 to 8 or 9 magnitude earthquake should have happened 3-4 days ago. It did not happen. It was very concerning to me as I was waiting in anticipation for that to happen. But I believe the answer is because of the volcanic eruptions are expending that pressure. So for now, I think the area is somewhat safe. I'm still a little concerned that there might be an 8 or a 9 or a 7. I'm still concerned that there's going to be a larger earthquake, a 5 or a 6, or possibly larger here, and down in here. So in the meanwhile, pray for the people that live in Italy. I'm going to continue to monitor that over the next several weeks and do a little more research in depth as to what's going on there, and I'll come back and I'll make another video. I hope that you will come over here to my YouTube channel and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Share this video with your friends. If you have any questions, come on over here and find me on Facebook, and you can message me here and we can talk about it. Hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you'll share it with your friends. Give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my page. Have a great day and pray for the people in Italy. Thanks.